Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. So this is the new Halo Infinite Mud Hog UNSC Warthog. Now, it's made by NKOK Toys, and they specialize in RC cars, racers, and just remote control vehicles. I want to give a special thank you to NKOK Toys for sending this over and allowing me to unbox this and review it on the channel, and you know we're going to get this thing dirty. So the Mud Hog isn't the only vehicle they've released. There's also a Mongoose, a Warthog, and coming soon, a Wasp. These can be found on Amazon. I will post all the links in the description below. And you know, it's been a while since I've played with an RC car, and I'm pretty excited about this, especially since it is Halo Infinite and it is one of my passions. This has a lot of things it looks like it can do, and anytime I do pick up an RC car, it always reminds me of Home Alone 3. And for those of you that haven't seen it, he basically has an RC car and he jumps from like home to home and does all these pranks and stuff like that, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. This has a range to 100 and 150 feet with multiplayer up to 16 players, which is insane. It comes with a rechargeable battery and two AA's, which I'm sure go within the controller. There is working lights and wheelie action. The back of the packaging shows more illustrations of this Mud Hog. You have the wheelie action, the remote control, the working lights. Now, I do like the color scheme they went with on this. The regular Warthog that they released, it is the traditional green color, so I'm glad that they went with something different. Top right hand corner has a description about this vehicle. So the Mud Hog UNSC Warthog is an adaptable, all-terrain, high-performance utility vehicle. And that definitely shows with these crazy big tires and that lifted suspension. So I'm excited. Let's crack this thing open. Alright, here's this beast out of the packaging. Now, I did a small test drive. I know you're not supposed to. You're supposed to let the battery charge fully first, but I couldn't help myself. It's 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night, and I had to see what those lights look like. And they look awesome, by the way. I'll show you all that later. But I'm stoked to see what this can do during the day, you know, get it all muddy, you know, do the wheelies, the burnouts, all that kind of stuff, and what it's really capable of. Now, the few minutes that I did play with it outside, I had a really good time, so this is going to be a fun review. It does come with some instructions, and there are some important things to know before you get this going. So like I said, you should be letting this charge fully first. So the first and second use, 4 to 5 hour charge, and then after that, it takes about 3 to 4 hours. There is a little light on the USB plug, and it's a red light that blinks when it's charging, and then when it's done charging, it just turns off. Now, after you've been playing with this for a bit, the battery's going to be warm, so let it cool down to a normal room temperature before you start charging it again. Otherwise, you can just destroy the battery. The rest of the instructions go as follow. The battery pack is on the bottom of the Hog. The two AA's go within the transmitter handle. There's like a little trigger that will allow you to go forwards or backwards. This little circle right here is to steer, so you can go from left to right. And there's also like a turbo button. So there's like a low speed mode, and there's like the high speed mode. And there's a significant difference between both of those. It's actually really cool. Below that, there's a section for advanced maneuvers. So when you're going in reverse and you pop forward real quick, the Hog will do that wheelie. And you're more likely to get that going when the battery's at a full charge, so keep that in mind. And I know the first question I'm going to get is, can our World of Halo figures fit within this Hog? The answer is no. As cool as that would be, these are two separate brands, so these are not compatible. Let's take a look at the dimensions. So the length of the wheel, we are looking at just under 3 inches. And then the width is just under 2 inches. Length from the front of this bumper guard to the back, I would say we are about 10 inches, maybe 10 and a half. And then at our tallest heights with our Spartan gunner, we are just under 7 inches. Looks like about 6 and a half. Like I said earlier, I really enjoy this color scheme they went with. It's like a deep earth brown. There's a UNSC logo on the side. We have Chief in the driver's seat sitting proud, so you know it's going to be a wild ride. They did sculpt Chief's legs in, so he is complete. I know a lot of times with RC cars, they like to only sculpt from the torso up on the driver. The passenger side looks just as good as the driver. There is more of that glossy paint throughout. There's a UNSC logo on the side that matches. And there's also some script on the back rear fender. There's a step-up bar. There's an empty bucket seat for whoever is willing to drive shotgun with Chief. There's actually a considerable amount of sculpting to this front dash. You can see there's a monitor. We have a little handle here on the glove compartment to hold on to. We have a shifter, and there's just like more controls here. Same thing goes for Chief's side. There's an odometer and some other gauges. Steering wheel looks great, so I'm actually pretty impressed with that sculpting. So the more I looked at it, I thought one of those old Joyride 2 3/4 inch figures would fit, but no, it doesn't. The back of our hog does have our 4 traditional gas cans, which is great. Love to see that. And finally, we have our Spartan on the back, manning the turret. It is actually on a swivel joint, so we can spin this all the way around, which is pretty cool because you can maneuver it into different positions. And then same thing with like the angle of the turret. We can move this, wow, all the way down and then upwards too. So this Spartan doesn't have any articulation, but that's pretty much to be expected. All the movement's going to come from the base of the turret, so you can still make it look real, like, you know, he's shooting this way up or down, so that's actually a pretty nice feature. And all of these components are like a softer type of plastic, so there's a little bit of give, so if you do end up flipping it, I can't imagine it breaking on the first go. I mean, it depends how hard you play with it. Obviously things will break, but I would say this is pretty safe if you do flip it over a few times. As far as suspension goes, there's no like springs or shocks or anything like that. So all of that give when you're going over terrain and stuff is going to come from these rubberized tires. Which, as beefy as these are, I mean, that shouldn't be a problem at all. Alright, I've let the battery charge fully. It is time to take it outside and see what it can do. So let's start with it during the night. There are 2 LEDs at the front of the hog, which are actually pretty bright. They stay on the entire time as long as you are moving the hog forward. As you can see, this thing really moves, and it responds well to maneuvers the closer you are to the transmitter. So once you start reaching 100 to 150 feet, there's a small delay when you move from left to right. It can drive over thicker areas with no problem. As you can see, my grass is a little long here, and it tackled it just fine. Now it's time for the real test. It was supposed to rain out here, which it didn't, so I had to improvise and make my own mud in the backyard. Since this is the mud hog, I wanted to get it as dirty and muddy as possible, naturally. So I had to spray over the backyard a few times to keep it heavily saturated. Now, I was a little worried that I was going to get too much water in the battery compartment, but it's honestly pretty well sealed. Now, that doesn't mean this thing is waterproof, so I wouldn't fully submerge it or anything like that. Now, this does do a great job at getting muddy, and of course I had to do some slow-mo action. You can see a nice little burnout right there. But what really helps get this thing muddy is those big tires. I mean, it's just flinging mud everywhere. I mean, as I was trying to get some cool action shots, my legs were muddy, my arm was muddy, but it's okay. I had a great time with this. Okay, so we're back. I totally got this thing super muddy, as you can see. I let it dry just because I didn't want a bunch of water all over the table, but as you can see, I'm making a mess as it is. But what I want to do is I want to see how much water or mud got into the bottom of this battery compartment. Now, the average runtime for this was about 15 minutes or so, 15-20 minutes. It just depends on how hard I was actually driving this. Also, if you look underneath the hood by this fender, there's some connections to the lights here. Before I was done messing with it outside, they still worked, but we'll give that another test once I recharge that battery. Now, this isn't a waterproof vehicle. I'm sure there's some water resistance elements to this, I mean, since it is a mud hog, but I would not recommend fully submerging this into like some puddles or large bodies of water. And the moment of truth is, yes, baby, not a single thing of mud in there. Wow. Okay, so that worked out really well. So I have no doubts that this will work again. You know, the battery seems to be intact. It's depleted right now, but once I take this out, I'm going to recharge it. But that is awesome. Not a single thing of water or anything got inside of this battery compartment, so that is great to see. While that's charging, I'm going to clean up this hog a bit and get it close to new as possible. Chief took some splashes, but I mean, overall, he's not super muddy. Definitely the windshield took most of that blunt. And our Spartan on the turret definitely got some splashes, but that's to be expected. Alright, she's all cleaned up. It took me about 10 or 12 minutes or so to get it appropriate, so there's not dirt everywhere. Now, it's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better than what it was. So I let the battery charge for a bit. We're going to test this out, see if everything still works, which I'm pretty confident that it will. Before I cleaned her up, everything was working fine, so I'm sure that'll be the case. Turn this to the on position. And the moment of truth. Oh yeah, everything is still working. You can see the lights are still going right there. And this piece right here is sculpted. It's not a bulb that's out. So all the lights are working properly, and that looks so good. Alright everyone, that's going to wrap up this review and unboxing of the new Mud Hog RC car from NKOK Toys. So the price for this is $39.99. You can find it on Amazon. I will put all the links in the description below, as well as the rest of the vehicles that are released. I mean, for $40, I think that's a pretty fair price. We're getting an official Halo vehicle, a variant of the Warthog, which is made to go through the mud, and it's an RC car. So not only can you take this through the mud, but it has some lights at the front. It has a great sculpting throughout. We have 2 Spartans, one of which is Master Chief, and this thing is actually pretty quick. The average playtime with the battery was around like 15 minutes or so, which seems like a pretty good amount of time. I don't own a lot of RC cars, but I was pretty happy with that overall. There really isn't much I'd add to this. I mean, the only thing I can really think of is to maybe make the transmitter just a little sturdier. But overall, I'm pretty happy with this. I don't have anything like this in my Halo collection, and I'm very happy to add it. But that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you. Be sure to find me on Instagram, where I do toy photography, toy videos, toy hunts, toy deals, and all things toy related. Link in the description below. I want to say again thank you to NKOK Toys for sending this over and allowing me to review it on the channel for y'all. But if you like this video and you want to see more of it, be sure to like and subscribe. It is free, and I will see y'all in the next video.